What's up, everybody, and welcome to Wildcard Sports. In today's video, we are going to go over the best and worst case scenarios for the AFC North: Steelers, Browns, Bengals, and the Ravens. We're going to look at their schedule. We're going to look at best case scenario for wins and losses and worst case scenario wins and losses. So we're going to break down each team. We're not going to literally break down every game, but we're going to go through the schedule, and I'll let you know how many wins, how many losses for each team. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you're new. We're doing this for every division, and we're making predictions all season long. So let's just get right into it. Let's start with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Aaron Rodgers as their QB. I mean, I personally think he just needs to retire. He should have retired years ago, in my opinion, before he even got to the Jets. But will this save Aaron Rodgers' career being on the Steelers? I seriously doubt it. Let's look at the schedule really quick here. And we're going to go over best case scenario for the Pittsburgh Steelers here. So let's say they win week one at the Jets. I know it's Aaron Rodgers going against his former team and all that stuff, but this would be a big statement for Aaron Rodgers to beat his former team. But I don't know. That game could go either way, but let's just say best case scenario, beat the Jets. Beat the Seahawks. They should beat the Patriots, but, I feel like Steelers are going to lose a game in there, so we're going to have one loss those first three games. Don't know exactly who for sure. Let's say they beat the Vikings, beat the Browns, lose to the Bengals, so that's two losses. I say they lose to the Packers, 3. Beat the Colts, probably lose to the Chargers, that's 4 losses. I think they get swept in the against the Bengals, even best case scenario, if Bengals are clicking. Let's just say they beat the Bears. Wait, so how many losses is that right now? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 5 losses so far. Beat the Bears. Lose to the Bills. That's 6 losses. Lose to the Ravens, 7. Beat the Dolphins. Lose to the Lions, 8 losses. Let's say they beat the Browns, best case scenario, then lose to the Ravens, 9 losses. So 8-9, best case scenario for the Steelers. I just don't see them doing any better than that. Even if everything's clicking, like they have some tough games in there, I don't see them doing any better than 8-9. Let's look at worst case scenario really quick. This could be bad. I mean, especially if Aaron Rodgers goes down. I seriously doubt he's going to stay healthy all year. I mean, that's just what it is. So let's look at worst case scenario here for the Steelers. All right, lose to the Jets. I feel like Jets are going to take this one very seriously going against Rodgers, and they're going to beat the Jets. All right, so that's one. Oh, yeah, and then Justin Fields going against his old team, the Steelers. So it's going to be an interesting week 1 game right there. So lose to the Jets. I think they lose to the Seahawks. They could start 0-3. They could lose the Patriots, too, on the road. Let's say they beat the Vikings. So that's 1 win. Beat the Browns, 2 wins. Lose to the Bengals, lose to the Packers. Let's say they beat the Colts, 3 wins. Lose to the Chargers, Bengals. I say they even lose to the Bears, the Bills, Ravens. Let's say they just beat the Dolphins. It's 4 wins. Lions, they're going to lose. Let's just say they beat the Browns, 5 wins. That's just me being nice. 5 wins for the Steelers. It could even be 4 wins, but I'll just be a little bit nicer to the Steelers here and give them a worst case scenario, 5 and 12 for the Steelers. Let's see what Vegas has them at. Let's see if we're anywhere close to that total. Let's go down to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Vegas has the Steelers at 8.5. I'm actually surprised by that number. It's kind of high. I don't know why everyone just always thinks Rodgers is going to take their team over the top and all that good stuff, but I just don't see that happening. I know Steelers have good receivers. They should have a solid defense again, but they can't just rely heavily on their defense all season long. But yeah, I would take the under on the Steelers. If I had to choose the under, I would go under 8.5 because I just see them getting only 8 wins max. But let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know if you agree, disagree on that one. All right, moving on to the Cleveland Browns. Let's go to their schedule here. I mean, they got Shedeur Sanders drafted. They got so many QBs. Will he make the starting lineup week 1? Probably not week 1, but I think he'll eventually get in there. Cleveland tends to go through their QBs pretty quick throughout the season, so Shedeur's going to see some playing time, going to see some starting some games. So let's look at best case scenario here for the Cleveland Browns. Let's just say they beat the Bengals week 1. It's a home game for the Browns. Maybe it'll happen. Doubt it. Lose to the Ravens. Packers, Lions back to back. That's going to be tough. Even best case scenario, I still don't even see them beating both of those teams. So that's still 2 losses. Let's say they beat the Vikings. Let's say they beat the Steelers, Dolphins, lose to the Patriots, beat the Jets. That's 5 wins right now. Lose to the Ravens. Let's beat the Raiders at 6. Lose to the Niners. Beat the Titans 7. Lose to the Bears. Lose to the Bills. Let's say they beat the Steelers 8, and then lose to the Bengals. And I don't know. Yeah, same as the Steelers, 8 and 9. Best case scenario for the Browns, an 8 and 9 record. Yeah. And that's even me being like kind of nice to them to see what they could get. All right, let's look at worst case scenario here. It could be bad. Worst case scenario for the Browns, we're gonna lose to the Bengals, Ravens, Packers. They could start the season 0-4. Very well start the season 0-4. Let's just say they beat the Vikings. They could even lose the Steelers. Worst case scenario. Let's say they beat the Dolphins. That's 2 wins. Lose to the Patriots. Even lose to the Jets, Ravens. Let's say they beat the Raiders. Probably won't happen, but let's say that happens. Lose to the Niners. Let's just, what's going on here? Let's say they beat the, where did I leave off? Oh, Titans. So that's 4 wins. Lose to the Bears, Bills. Let's just say they beat the Steelers at home. So 5 wins. Worst case scenario. They could do definitely worse than that, but I didn't mean to make it like this, but it's literally the exact same scenario as I have the Steelers. And I'm doing this in real time, so I didn't plan this ahead of time to pick the record the same, but Steelers and the Browns are going to be fighting for 3rd and 4th place. Let's just say that. Let's look at what Vegas has to say about Cleveland. Yeah, they have Cleveland at 4.5 right here. So even that beats my that's lower than my worst case scenario. So maybe I'll take the over on Cleveland. Maybe they could win 5 games, like I said. So I would lean towards the over if I had to choose for the Cleveland Browns. Let me know what you guys think on the Browns. Do you agree with that? Disagree with that? All right, moving on to the Bengals. Here we go. Bengals have to have a bounce-back season. They can't miss the playoffs again. Joe Burrow, sure, he played amazing last year. He put up the stats, but his team was still losing. I know he can't do it all on the team, but still, the Bengals just have to get to the playoffs. If they don't get to the playoffs this year, it is a failure of a season for the Bengals. So, moving on, let's look at best case scenario for the Bengals here. Beat the Browns, Jags, Vikings, Broncos. They could start this season 4-0, but you know how the Bengals are. They tend to just lose games they're not supposed to lose. Let's just say they lose to the Lions, so that's 1 loss. They could lose at the Packers. I think they're going to have 2 losses by October. They might lose a fluke game in that first September. I don't know. Let's just say they have 2 losses after the Packers. Beat the Steelers, Jets, Bears. At the Steelers, like I said, they should sweep the Steelers. Best case scenario, so that's a win. Let's just say they lose to the Ravens, so that's 3 losses so far. Lose to the Bills, but they could very well win one of those games. It'd be nice if they won one of those games. And then they should beat the Ravens at home, split with the Ravens, beat the Dolphins, Cardinals, and Browns. So they got an easy end of the schedule. So if everything goes well for the Cincinnati Bengals, they should only have 4 losses. So 13-4, best case scenario for the Cincinnati Bengals. Everything's going right, and that will take them to the playoffs, and that will get the Bengals right back on track. All right, let's look at worst case scenario, though, for the Bengals really quick here. Worst case scenario, like I said, there's 4 games here. They got 3 road games. I think they're going to lose for sure 1, but let's just say they lose 2, somewhere in that, just because I feel like the Bengals tend to get off to a slow start. So that's 2 losses. Lose to the Lions and Packers. This is worst case scenario, so that's 4 losses already. Beat the Steelers, Jets, Bears. Let's say they split with the Steelers. Worst case scenario. So that's 5 losses. Lose to the Ravens, Bills, 6, 7. Yeah. Even worst case scenario, 7 losses. So 10-7 worst case. So it's still a winning record. Still could get them a wild card spot. Probably not going to win the division with a 10-7 record, but they pretty much have a best case scenario winning the division and then a worst case scenario getting a wild card spot, in my opinion, for the Bengals. So let me know what you guys think on that. If you agree with me, disagree with me. All right, moving on. Last but not least, the Baltimore Ravens. Such a dominant team. Lamar Jackson just needs to take his team over that hump. He has all the pieces, so he just needs to do it. Get him there. Get him to the playoffs, of course. That should be easy, but get them to the Super Bowl. It's not going to be easy to get to the Super Bowl, but Lamar Jackson has all the capabilities to do so. So let's look at best case scenario for the Baltimore Ravens. Best case, let's say they beat the Bills, but I mean, week 1 at the Bills is so tough, but it's very doable. Best case. So beat the Bills, beat the Lions. I say they lose to the Chiefs. You know what? We're doing best case scenario. They beat the Chiefs because they tend to lose to the Chiefs, obviously, in the playoffs, but regular season, they should beat the Chiefs here. But it's going to be an amazing game. So they could start the season 4-0. 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. They could start the season 7-0, especially if they get through those tough teams. They could really dominate their schedule here, and it's not going to be easy. But they could start 7-0. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, oh my gosh. Here's what I'm going to do here, because I don't see them going 12-0. They're going to have like 2 random losses here, so they're going to start the season like 10-2. I think they're going to lose one at the Bengals, so that's 3 losses. Probably lose at the Packers. Maybe it's doable. So 4 losses. I just can't see them getting better than that. I mean, I can, but I can't because they have a really tough beginning of the season. So I'm still going to go 13-4, just the same as the Bengals, and that pretty much shows the Bengals and the Ravens should be battling it for first place. It's pretty obvious that's going to happen, but it's going to be a tight race between the Bengals and the Ravens. So it's the same. 13-4 best case scenario here. Possibly they could even go 14-3 best case scenario, but that's going to be so tough because, like I said, a lot of tough games in there. Let's look at worst case scenario here. Even worst case should get them a playoff spot, but lose to the Bills week 1. Lose to the Chiefs, let's say. Should beat the Vikings, Dolphins, Browns. I mean, they tend to lose to the Browns. It's a division game, so Browns play them really tough. Let's just say they lose, so that's 3 losses. Let's say they split with the Bengals, so that's 4. Lose to the Packers, 5. And maybe lose to the Steelers, 6. But that's worst case scenario. It's not as bad as Cincinnati. So we're going to go 11-6. Let's say Cincinnati has a bad year for them and goes 10-7. The Ravens can still go 11-6, win the division with that. So the Ravens have the best chance to win the division, of course. They're going to be battling it out with the Cincinnati Bengals all year. So it should be very interesting. It should come down to the wire. We want the Bengals to have a great season. It's just better TV. It's better football to watch. It kind of sucks when the Bengals are bad, when Joe Burrow is bad. Well, not when he's bad, but his whole team as a whole. So best case scenario for the Ravens, 13-4. Worst case scenario, 11-6. I think that's very fair. Let's look really quick at what Vegas has to say about the Ravens really quick. Baltimore, 11.5, so pretty high. One of the highest totals here. We go back to my best case. I would bet the over because I think they for sure could get 12 wins this season and get the over an 11.5. So that's my opinion. Over 12 wins for the Ravens. Let me know what you guys think, if you agree with me or disagree. So those are my predictions, guys, on the AFC North. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you're new, and let me know if you agree with me or disagree on these. I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.